Welcome to another Optivity webinar, where we are exploring exciting topics in health innovation, cutting-edge technologies, and living well. You are joined by hundreds of people like yourself who are interested in learning more about maintaining a healthy heart. And I'm your host, Tasneem Panchbaya. A fun fact for those who don't know me yet, today marks the 3rd-year anniversary to myself. 3 years ago today, I decided to transform myself from a pumpkin to a squash. I'm now a more healthier individual. I was at risk for chronic illnesses such as heart disease and diabetes, and decided I needed to make a change for myself. So today's topic is very close to my heart, no pun intended. I am joined here by my knowledgeable and lovely CEO, Jane Wang. Not to embarrass her here, but she just got engaged yesterday, so big congrats to her, and belated happy Valentine's Day to all of you out there as well. So a little bit more about ourselves and our professional backgrounds. Jane spent almost a decade in health management with patients from clinical research. Her expertise are in adherence, helping patients prevent adverse events, and daily micro interaction. And I'm Tasneem, a wellness advisor at Optivity, creating content for specialized topics for our clients to address chronic health issues. My background is in health policy, and I'm passionate about health equity. My dream is to eliminate social and economic barriers that restrict anyone, from getting access to the right information and care to obtain their optimal health. So as our hundreds of guests arrive, I want to take a moment to go over some housekeeping items to give you the best webinar experience. Please connect to the audio using computer's microphone and speakers, or select the use telephone. After joining the webinar, to turn on sound, all guest lines are muted to avoid background noise. Type in your questions in the tool and we will answer them during the Q&A period. After the webinar, we will reach out to you if we don't get to any questions. The slides in the webinar recording will be sent out to you to share with others. There are two handouts from this session, a recipe and a self-test. They're downloadable in the tool. Great, so let's begin. At Optivity, we provide a dynamic wellness tool for companies to engage people like yourself in achieving optimal health. In fact, Optivity is the state of being best. We provide a mobile app that is personalized to you. We provide a robust and holistic health support library spanning everything from health heart to mental health to wellness. We also to you based on other people like you. You can access the Pocket Coach via any mobile device or via our website. It is a pocket health coach that syncs with your calendar to give you small, fun challenges, which earns you hundreds of dollars of rewards. And of course, a lot of bragging rights, and I suppose better health. The reason we provide webinars is because we want to help address some key issues in proactive health coaching, such as low participation, poor adherence, and no adaptation of the program. We provide a fully integrated health coaching solution that turns raw data into insights and helpful daily tips, and have achieved over 77 participations in 2016 and 2017. That's huge. Our weekly adherence rate is 43%, which means people are actually able to change their lives and habits bit by bit every day, every week, leading to better health. We adapt the program to popular topics and your interests on the go. So today we will be sharing our knowledge and giving you useful tips that you can take back with you to your organization and to use yourself, of course, even if you don't yet have Optivity. So today's agenda, we will talk about what is heart disease and how to prevent it, implications for individuals and for companies, the role of technology to facilitate wellness and prevention, simple exercises you can practice to prevent heart disease, and Q&A if we have time. So Jane, heart disease costs almost 25% of deaths, almost 1 in every 4 in the United States. Heart disease is the leading cause of deaths for both men and women. More than half the deaths due to heart disease in 2008 were in men. Coronary heart disease is the most common type of disease. So what is heart disease and how can we prevent it?
Well, I think that's a really good question to start with the definition. The prevention starts with really knowing your risk. 9 out of 10 Canadians have at least one risk factors for heart disease and stroke, and almost 80% of premature heart disease can be prevented through healthy behaviors. And that means healthy habits like eating and being active and living smoke-free, which all have really big impacts on the health. Today, I think what we want to focus on is what heart disease is as a group of health conditions. It's a group of conditions that affects the structure and the function of the heart, which is essentially important in our quality of life. A heart failure happens when the heart muscle is not pumping blood as well as it should, which results in the blood not getting enough blood, and contains oxygen and nutrients. Without a heart, we are without life. So often heart disease starts manifesting itself after we're beyond 30 years old, and that is defined as the premature form of heart disease. Although there are some genetic factors that affect it, 8 out of 10 cases of premature heart disease is due to preventable lifestyle choices. So all of our best defenses are resting in the controlling the risk factors that may lead up to the coronary arterial diseases such as heart, blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, smoking, stress, excessive alcohol consumption, physical inactivity, and of course, being overweight. Structurally, your heart is a muscle. It gets the energy from its own energy from the blood carrying oxygen and nutrients. Your optimal heart rate is anywhere between 60 and 100 beats per minute, where the lower is better. So many athletes, especially as the Olympics is going on, you'll see some of them will actually have resting heart rates that are below 60. But for the rest of us who are mere mortals here, we're shooting for something between 60 and 100 beats per minute. So the heart keeps a constant supply of blood to the rest of our bodies. It is really interesting because it also pumps blood for itself, and it consumes blood, and a lot of times you see information about stroke, which is really, the accumulation of plaque and other sorts of blockage within your blood vessels. Some of the things that we could talk about today are really around things that keeps your heart from operating at its optimal state, and also keeping sure that the things that's circulating within your blood are containing the right nutrients and the right balance of antioxidants as well as oxygen. So as we go through the healthy tips today, there are many aspects that will lead to a healthy heart. Being physically active, knowing your numbers, such as your heart rate, your blood pressure, eating a healthy diet, which is lower in fat, maintaining and achieving a healthy weight. Of course, smoking has a really big detrimental part to your risk, which includes your heart risk, and then managing some chronic conditions such as your diabetes, limiting alcohol use, as well as reducing stress. There are many forms of exercise, and I think in what today, what you have prepared for us, Tasneem, is focused on 3 aspects, which is physically active, managing nutrition, as well as stress. So exercise, we'll start with exercise. The exercise to elevate your heart rate is to help your heart as a muscle, keeping it in tip-top shape. There are many, many forms of exercise. Often I hear about people that say, oh, I can't exercise because I don't live near a gym, or I don't have time, or I don't know what to do. Well, with heart health, I can say that every little bit helps. A little stretch here, a really well prepped meal, a little meditation there, everything from using small free weights, as well as even taking your breather to just, be aware of how fast your heart is pumping is all helpful in heart health. But to get the maximum benefits in improving your current heart condition is to raise your heart rate in a regular setting. So this is doing exercise at least 3 to 4 times for more than 30 minutes every session. We use a lot of numbers at the gym, right? So these are reps, sets, pounds, mileage. But one that you're probably not very dialed into on the regular is your maximum heart rate. So your maximum heart rate could be calculated, and it's a relatively simple calculation. It's been around for years. We use a formula of 220 minus your age. So that means that if you're 40, then your maximum heart rate is estimated to be about 180. Okay, so it's important when you exercise to target a certain zone, and I'm sure you've heard this before. There's 3 set zones. The first one is about 50 to 70% your maximum heart rate, and this is for usually an easy workout. The second set is the moderate workout, which we classify normally as cardio exercise. So that's between 70 and 85% of your maximum heart rate. So for example, if you're 40, your maximum heart rate is now estimated at 180. If you want to get into your zone, your moderate workout zone of around 70%, that means that your target heart rate will be between 125 and 135, and this may be up to double of what your resting heart rate is. So it's really giving your heart a little jolt. But even if you get your heart to just 90 beats per minute, 100 beats per minute, if you're rested, it still shows benefits, even if you're doing an easy workout. So for example, exercises such as yoga or stretching still does help your blood flow more through your heart. Just for your information, an intense workout, or the ones used for high intensity interval training, is anywhere between 85 to 95%. And this type of training is best for really targeting fat burn, but also gives your heart the workout that it needs. But when we're starting, most of us, if we haven't been working out for the last 3 months, it may be best to start with an easy to moderate type of exercise.
Exactly. Heart disease is one of the most costly health problems that employers are facing, but it's also one of the most preventable diseases. Heart disease is currently costing the United States $300 billion a year in healthcare costs and lost productivity. These numbers are expected to rise as baby boomers start to age, which is what makes what I work on with clients useful. Microactivities that change behaviors are shown to have positive impact in preventing heart disease. One of the activities I love promoting is physical challenges. Taking the stairway is a great path to making an impact. It increases one's heart rate, which helps protect against high blood pressure, weight gain, and clogged arteries. This lowers the risk of developing heart disease. It's easy because it requires literally no skills and no resources. Also, it's time efficient because you get to avoid the elevator congestion in the morning, lunchtime, after work, pretty much whenever. On Optimity, we send out a reminder to take the stairs instead of the elevator. You get points for every flight, and you get bonus points for completing over 1,000 steps as a challenge. Food was one of the big items that contributes to the nutrients that your heart circulates. It's February, there's a lot of chocolates floating around. I think it would be useful to go through some of the more health-conscious food choices and tips. So Jane, what goes into a healthy diet?
Well, a healthy diet really is made up of many parts. It has fruits and vegetables. It has whole grains and all types of different types of carbohydrates. Protein is important, and this is really we talk about the food pyramid and a lot about what we consume is depending on the portion. So instead of kind of talking about what we are most familiar with, I'm going to talk about avoiding some types of foods. We recently did a webinar with Stephen on mindful nutrition, so you can always reference back to that. But as a quick summary of that, avoid processed foods, so that salt and sugar intake should be dropped to a minimum, and also try to reduce the amount of snacking. And you're right, with all these chocolates in the office and all kinds of different types of winter cravings, it's good to be mindful of what you're putting in your body consistently, because sugar gets digested very easily. It gets digested as soon as it touches your tongue, and it gets into your bloodstream right away. And high sugar is not really a problem when it's right in your bloodstream in small quantity, but when it goes up, then that's when you see a set of downstream problems. Other good tips are to prepare your own meals in our ideal plate. What you can do is that you can start by changing the proportions on your plate, so that the protein sources such as meat and fish are part of the part of your meal, but not the main attraction, right? So what we're doing for heart health is really reducing the amount of saturated fats that we're consuming. So oftentimes when we see a typical restaurant plate, we'll see a big steak or a really big piece of chicken as part of that. Even though those proteins are really important as part of your healthy diet, it should not be the main attraction. It should only be less than 30% of your plate. The rest of the space that you're freeing up should be filled up with more colorful variety of vegetables. A quarter of the plate should be with whole grains, such as brown rice or 100% whole grain bread. Fish is often a really great way to substitute, but even I would even push for legumes, so like chickpeas, lentils, tofu, that are alternative sources of protein, could be a big part of what makes up the other quarter of the plate. Another part about how we consume food is directly tied with who we consume food with. And we often don't think about that because we're busy, right? And often in the work setting where we're eating at our desks or snacking from the common kitchen or going out there and going to get a candy bar in the middle of the afternoon. I think what stops you from having these solitary behaviors, which have little joy and of course little mindfulness, is to try to establish a ritual where you're sharing food with people. Many of you are joining us in groups with your colleagues, so you can look around the table, look at who you are, take note, make a pact, right? Eat with a partner, so some sort of accountability. And what I find really helpful is actually cooking for each other. So this also happens in the household. So oftentimes when we prepare a meal for somebody else, we're more mindful of both the flavor but also what goes into them. Those that care about our health is not, I often think that we ourselves care less about our health than what our partners care about. So cooking for each other, it may be easier to be accountable when you're in a group. So the 3 challenges that I will leave with you for this month are 1, discover a new vegetable, go to a different type of supermarket and take a look at something that's strange looking, maybe a different color, maybe a dark vegetable that's purple, which has lots of antioxidants, or you can find a new type of green vegetable. There are many, many of them, and take note. So that would be one of your challenge. A second one is try out one of our healthy recipes. Taz will be sharing this with you very shortly. But trying out other people's recipes is also hopeful when you guys swap different types of dishes. Not only do you get to kind of have a mini travel around the world, you get to also get ideas from other people's more maybe exploratory type of palettes. The third one is actually a great accountability tool, which is around introducing someone else to a healthy tip, right? So when I'm telling other people to, drinking a glass of water at the beginning of the day, it's more likely that I will take action myself as well, because you do retain 90% of what you teach versus 30% of what you read.
So I picked one of my favorite recipes to share with you guys. It's a stir-fried broccoli with red peppers and beef. You can download it directly from the webinar. I was mindful of how long it takes. So this is really simple for you to make. It has simple ingredients, and you can probably do it today. I have 2 other exercises planned for you because nutrition is key in preventing health disease. A healthy diet can prevent heart disease and also aid in weight loss and maintenance. The first is from Heart and Stroke on healthy cooking. It's focused on getting the right vegetables and fruits, 10 servings a day. The second is focused on limiting salt, which has many benefits because it impacts the flow of blood. The app provides helpful tips on making small changes to one's diet, as well as providing healthy meal options that are easy and quick to make. A lot of what raises my heart rate and is not so healthy, like in a not healthy way, is stress. So can you share some of the books and resources on this topic, Jane?
Sure. Yeah, I think February tends to be a quite busy month, January too, and in the work setting, there are lots of deadlines. So it's good to be mindful of what's raising our heart rate. One of the better books that I had stumbled upon over the last year is from the Everything Healthy Living series. It's about heart disease, and it's quite full of scientific facts, but not only is it full of facts, it also has a lot of content. Stress, in a way, is the body's response to a real or perceived threat in the sense of the word context. That response is usually a racing heart, tense muscles, and also sweating. And what this is meant to do is to really kind of get you ready for some sort of action or to get you out of a harm's way. In work, it's really not about this kind of fight or flight experience. So the stress itself is actually not productive in the work setting. And of course, too much of it can harm your health and increase your risk for heart disease and stroke, because it also has downstream hormonal excretion and things that make you more susceptible to not only heart disease but other sorts of body conditions. So stress can cause the heart to work harder. So it pumps more, which also increases the blood pressure. It increases the sugar and the fat level within the blood. And these things in turn will increase the risk of clots forming and traveling to the heart, which causes a stroke or a heart attack. So if you're feeling stressed, it can be hard to lead a healthy lifestyle because you will be more likely also to crave certain types of foods, which will give you an immediate a dopamine hit, which is the joy center of your mind, and that's why there's this stress eating cycle that happens where you're stressed, your heart works harder, it increases the sugar and fat within your blood. Then you're craving more sugar and fat. You go out there, eat a piece of chocolate, and then it circulates into your blood. So it's actually a really detrimental cycle. So instead of doing exercise to relieve your stress, which you may not be able to do at work, because you can't run, right? You can't do the flight thing. What you will actually do is that you will overeat, you will drink too much alcohol, sometimes you will go for a smoke break. So these are all kind of negative behaviors that we as a population sometimes takes, which increases your risk of developing heart disease. So deal with your stress in a more mindful way. We suggest first to recognize that you're feeling stressed, right? To note how it affects you. Examine some of the causes of your stress. So one of the smart ways that this book also teaches is to journal the causes of your stress. When this happens, then I feel stressed. As part of that journal, also to give some room to elaborating on your thoughts, how you feel, and how you should ideally respond to this stress factor. A lot of the stress-provoking situations, these are called stressors. They're around, they're all around us. It's really hard to remove a lot of them, especially when they're dependent on what the job function is. But it's important to identify what your unique stressors are in order to remove them or to be mindful of coping with them. So I can give you 12 really easy coping skills. They go in 3 major categories. The first one is actual physical behavior skills. So this is anything with physical activity, yoga, stretching. So if you're really stressed at work, I think it's really good to, just take a pause, go for a walk, even if it's a lap around the office, a lap to the washroom, a lap to go get a glass of water. It's because your body is fighting to have this fight and flight, it's actually best to keep it moving. And that time, it also allows you to expend the extra energy and the sugar and the fat within your blood and then come back more energized. So in this case, taking a break is actually super helpful for both your heart, but also your mind. The second category is around thinking. So these are cognitive mental skills. When you're stressed, it's also good to divert that energy into problem solving, reappraisal, or meditation. So these type of activities are thinking about, okay, can I take a minute to just calm down, lower my heart rate, be positive, smile, right? So keeping yourself calm. This is being cognitive, so mind over matter, mind over heart in this case. Be cognitive about what is going on in your life and noting down what that stressor is. And then the last category of the coping skills is about personal and social skills. So this is utilizing social support, spirituality, or developing hobbies or personal interests, or talking to someone, because when you unplug and you switch context, especially, for example, when someone's coming off a very stressful client call, or when they were just doing something that requires them to be quite high energy, it's really good to know that many people get their energy from people that love them, people that understand them, people that they can have a conversation with. So divert your energy towards maybe a colleague, someone that that is your favorite coffee buddy, and go meet up with them or have a short conversation, or send a message to even your spouse or a friend can help you calm down and manage your heart rate.
Yeah, stress can definitely increase your risk of heart disease and stroke and lead to depression and anxiety. That's why it's important to recognize and manage it. We've uploaded a handout that you can download. It's really easy to use. It's going to give you a bunch of scenarios or stressful situations, and you would respond true or false depending on how you'd react. And afterwards, it'll give you feedback on how you're responding. It'll tell you if your response is either good, if you're on the right track, or if it's wrong, and maybe you need to try something else to cope with your stressors. There's also 2 other exercises I'd like to share with you today. The first one is to be stress aware. So you need to be aware of what's stressing you out in order to actually act upon it. The other one is to use mindfulness. It's a 1-minute remedy. You can use it to de-stress. It's available in the app. The app provides simple activities that can be practiced anywhere in order to relieve your stress. For instance, a deep breathing exercise allows your body to release endorphins, which are naturally occurring hormones that re-energize and promote relaxation. One of the key features I use in the admin platform is the HRA and the retargeting. So we are using this to help clients address specific high-impact issues such as heart disease. You can turn on the heart health content by contacting me or your client success manager. We'll be happy to help you, whatever your case may be. Jane, could you also help share some of the client cases with us?
Sure. So I'm more on the quantitative side, so I take a look at the data according to what the benefits and the claims costs are. So I think with more engagement, you can see specific, when people are coming back into the app. So with PwC, we saw 7 times their engagement in the previous years when they came into using kind of a mobile-first personalized approach. The other results that we see is people saving time, right? It's different now that you can have it at your fingertips, you can have it on the web, so you don't have to be attending a class like this all the time to get the immediate help that you need. Some of them even more, I guess, hard costs are around drug costs. Many people take antidepressants, many people take medication for heart disease as well. There are a slew of conditions, and you see a lot of downstream effects of this. So we can also quantify that with our case studies, and there are many on the website that you can download. I think we want to really think about how you're currently using your portals. I do understand some of the barriers because of time or because of where you are. So you probably have already noticed yourself coming in periodically to the portals, or you go onto the app, but after a while you forget it, or if you wear your wearable or whatever that you currently have, your Fitbit, your Apple Watch, it's probably, right, it's in February, so statistically it would tell me that about only 25% of you are still wearing the Fitbit or the Apple Watch that you got for Christmas. And then many times, right, when we have classroom coaching sessions like this, it's great, so you get it right now, but after a while, it does drop down. So what are some of the other tactics that you can employ or help others to do? So that's what Optimity can help with. I do think it's really good to be aware. So we do have machine learning enabled recommendation engine, so we recommend content based on what you're interested in. So for example, if you do take part in the heart-related type of content, we will suggest to you other things that will help. So of course, you saw at the beginning, there is literally like 8 different types of categories that help. Everything from smoking cessation to exercise to stress to eating well to, right? So or managing diabetes. So all that content is actually related, and we personalize the content depending on what your contexts are. So that's really important. The second part is about making it convenient. A lot of us are very busy, so our calendar, if your calendar looks anything like mine, it's kind of chaotic. But within the chunks of time, actually, the software within Optimity does a really good job of finding the small windows of time, a minute here, 5 minutes there, for you to just take a breather for yourself. And these are very, very useful for heart health because it's used in hitting the stressors of our body, right? So there are certain mechanisms. So I know certain types of events will stress me, and then after those events, it actually gives me specific meditation or breathers or little awareness checks that helps me maintain the same energy and optimism throughout my day. 2 other great things that it does is that it connects to any apps or wearables that are out there. We connect to almost 400 of them. So there's a huge slew as you're trying out different types of fitness apps or different types of devices. It's great to kind of integrate all that information into one platform where you're getting the insights from it. As a team, think about why you're investing time into heart health, right? So you're investing time into this because in the modern workforce, we care about productivity, we care about managing our own health costs, right? Health is really not free. Maintaining stronger culture, we want to be connected to those around us. So share a meal and attracting other people like us, you're attracting talent and boosting morale. So as part of your Optimity experience, you will be getting contextual notifications that do help you. So you can go onto your app and switch on the notifications today for heart health. They basically conform to your calendars and make sure that these activities are slotted when and if you can do them. The micro activities, we have over 3,000 of these. They span anywhere between 30 seconds and 2 minutes, and they're stringed together into these micro courses, which are little curriculums. So in the Learn section, as Tasneem has showcased, it teaches you certain factors about awareness, and there are some surveys and some questionnaires to help you gauge where your skill level is. But the second section, I would argue, is the most important, which is taking action, because you're not going to get healthier without taking action. The second section is actually getting you to do the deep breathing, self-reflection, meditation, getting you to do those activities. And as you accumulate them, when you hit milestones, of course, you unlock those bonus points as well, which go towards the rewards. And of course, if you want to test yourself, right, what's a course without a mini test at the end? Don't worry, it's not punitive. It's just something fun to self-assess and to know where you are. So we also have some questions at the end to just measure where have you improved since when you first learned these skills. As employees, and I'm an employee as well, and right, as we make healthier choices, we are happier with our day, we feel a sense of accomplishment, and as an organization, we can be more productive and happy together. Some of the ways that we measure this is also on a quarterly basis. We measure you on seven different aspects. So stress level, energy level, posture. That's a good time to do a posture check. Being active, how physically active you are. Staying hydrated, of course. Thinking positively, and also taking some measurable stretch breaks.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Jane. So let's summarize what we went together today. We defined heart disease and shared the science around prevention. We gave a lot of micro change tips and tactics to help everyone make smart lifestyle choices starting today and to take back to their families, colleagues, and community. We also showcased a new Healthy Heart goal in the Optimity platform. So if you're interested in learning more about creating a Healthy Heart campaign and engagement strategy, please reach out to us. You can reach out to myself, Tasneem at myoptimity.com, or shoot us an email at engaged@myoptimity.com. Thank you and have a great rest of the day.